Inquiry into state capture is set to listen to all applications to cross-examine its witnesses this morning. Public hearings for the commission are taking place in Parktown, Johannesburg. Legal counsels of those implicated in the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture will have an opportunity this morning to present to Deputy Chief Justice Zondo why they would like to probe the testimonies of witnesses. Now, legal representatives for the Gupta brothers will state their case along with a representative for former President Jacob Zuma's son, Duduzane Zuma. The two implicated Hawks officials, Major General Mnonopi as well as Mandla Mtolo, have also written to the Commission. Others on the list also include former Public Enterprise Minister Lynn Brown and controversial businessman Fana Hlongwane. Former President Zuma has, however, declined an opportunity to participate in the commission, with his lawyers saying at this stage they don't believe any testimony has implicated their client. Let's get more on the commission. Griselda Lewis joins us now live from Parktown in Johannesburg. Griselda, very good morning to you. What can we expect today? Give us the schedule.
Well, that's right, Blaine. We're expecting the Commission to hear applications for leave to cross-examine witnesses that implicated several high-profile individuals in state capture. As you did point out there, this would include former President Jacob Zuma's son, Duduzane, as well as controversial businessman Fana Hlongwane, as well as the Gupta brothers, Atul, Rajesh, as well as RJ. You'd recall, of course, that in the testimonies in, for example, of that of the former CEO of Government Communications, Themba Maseko, he indicated that he was being wooed by one of the Gupta brothers, RJ, and in a meeting that was held at the Gupta Saxonwell compound, that's where the presence of Fana Hlongwane as well as Duduzane Zuma was, and that's where RJ Gupta had basically tried to sway him into getting millions worth of government advertising meant for media buying to move that to the media companies owned by the Gupta family. In the testimony as well of Faiki Mentor, she also mentioning that the former President Jacob Zuma had walked in just shortly after RJ Gupta had basically offered her the position of Public Enterprises Minister. So I think what's quite ironic here, Blaine, is that while you have all these other lawyers wanting to cross-examine the testimony of some of these witnesses that have already sat before this commission, you have the likes of former President Jacob Zuma, who says in that letter that was sent by his lawyers to the commission, saying that he does not want to cross-examine the witnesses because he does not believe that he was ethically or criminally implicated in the testimonies of these individuals. But one would quite argue that this would have been the perfect opportunity, given the fact that we've not heard from President Jacob Zuma on exactly what happened. This commission could have been the perfect opportunity for him to give his side of the story, given that you have quite a number of people indicating that in one way or the other, former President Jacob Zuma did have a hand in trying to, they allege, getting the Gupta family some assistance. You'd recall in the testimony of Themba Maseko where he said he'd received a telephone call from former President Jacob Zuma at his Matamba residence, where he basically said that he wanted Themba Maseko to help the Gupta family. So I think that's one of the interesting aspects of this particular instance, where the former president himself would have been given the opportunity to state his case in this matter, but clearly it seems he does not want to be involved in this commission.
Yeah, his name has been swirling around. Another name that has been swirling around in media circles is that of former Communication Minister Faith Matamba. She purportedly penned a statement hitting back at Pumla Williams. What has been the reaction to this statement?
Well, Blaine, there's been massive reaction to that after that damning testimony from Pumla Williams, her detailing the conditions under which she worked under the former Communications Minister Faith Matamba, where she basically broke down at this commission, saying that she did not believe that in this day and age, in this democracy, that one of her cadres or one of her comrades would treat her in that fashion, basically making damning statements saying she believed that Faith Matamba wanted to steal from government president and that she did not have the interests of South Africans at heart. And then we saw that statement, of course, coming from Faith Matamba, where basically she blasts Phumla Williams, saying that she had basically exposed herself and saying that what Phumla Williams had basically done at this commission was to divert attention from the actual issues that are being debated here, and instead she went all out to attack Faith Matamba. And basically Faith Matamba basically saying that Phumla Williams had basically given everyone in South Africa a glimpse of the kind of attitude that she had had towards the former communications minister. So we've tried to speak to Faith Matamba. She's not been responding since that statement was released, but certainly a clear indication of what we had seen during the testimony of Phumla Williams, that there was a very fractured relationship between the two. And ironically, again, in this instance, another accusation from Phumla Williams that the former president himself, Jacob Zuma, had protected, according to her, the likes of Faith Matamba when she had basically raised her concerns with the former president. So I think one of the interesting aspects is also to see how all of that unfolds. And one of the key elements as well, Blaine, there worth mentioning is that you would know that the former CEO of government communications, Zwanele Manyi, who replaced Themba Maseko, has also written to the commission asking to put his side of the story, in particular relating to the text that Phumla Williams had received during her testimony at one of the tea breaks, where Phumla Williams believes that Zwanele Manyi had tried to influence her testimony. So Zwanele Manyi says he's written to the commission and he wants to put his side of the story.
Just to go back on that statement by Faith Matamba, you know, she says she's seeking legal advice, and it goes on to say, and I quote, these extremely one-sided evidence laced with half-truths and blatant lies that Mr. Williams presented to the commission. But has there been any application by Faith Matamba to cross-examine? And in terms of the rules and regulations of the commission, at this stage, is that even possible?
Well, Blaine, as far as we know at this stage, there has been no application from Faith Matamba to have her put her side of the story at this particular commission. Indeed, those were damning statements made by Phumla Williams. But of course, one would then, if that would be the case, and one would feel aggrieved, of course, in line with as well, in terms of what Zwanele Manyi has done, one would argue perhaps that what Faith Matamba could have possibly done was approach this particular commission and ask to put her side of the story at this stage. But what we do know now is that no such application has been made on the part of Faith Matamba to put her side of the story. All that we do have is that statement that she released indicating that she will also seek legal assistance. But in terms of this particular forum, in trying to put her side of the story, none of that has happened at the stage.
Yeah, you know, interestingly enough, this commission has kicked up questions about the relationship, Griselda, between ministers and their director generals, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And if we could put it into context there, Blaine, clearly it seems if you look at the evidence or the testimony of Phumla Williams, if you put it into that context, there seemed to have been what many have referred to as abuse of power, where some perhaps would feel that their principals would give out instructions and expect those that are much lower than them in terms of the hierarchy of whatever institution are expected to carry those out. Very different in this case towards Phumla Williams, who said that she felt that something was off about the manner in which certain things were done. You'd recall when she also mentioned how Jimmy Manyi, Zwanele Manyi, as others would say, had been brought into government communications just a couple of hours after the former CEO of government communications, Themba Maseko, was basically forced out of that particular office. So that is one of the things certainly that has been brought into question and does highlight perhaps the relationship between directors general and their superiors about how certain instructions are meant to be carried out. And in this particular context, where Phumla Williams said she felt that there were certain functions pertaining to, for example, the TNA SABC briefings that she felt that were not supposed to be undertaken under the delegation of government communications, but she was expected to carry those out without asking any questions. So I think it speaks to the heart of exactly why we are here today, detailing quite a number of issues, including the relationships between directors general as well as their superiors.
Just reportedly, Griselda Lewis, the commission, the legal teams, has said that those who want to cross-examine witnesses must also avail themselves to give testimony. Has the Deputy Chief Justice ruled on this matter? What is the current situation?
Well, not yet, Blaine. We're expecting to hear all of that today, possibly once you have these applications heard. Once perhaps we get a ruling on that, there'll be much more clarification on that particular aspect. So I think what the Commission would want to do at this stage is to first hear these applications, what these lawyers representing these implicated persons will have to say on this particular matter, why, what reasons they would give for wanting to cross-examine these witnesses who've implicated several of these high-profile individuals. And then I think there'll be much more clarity relating to that once we get over this particular issue this morning.
You say we're starting at 10 o'clock, Griselda?
Well, that's right, Blaine, at 10 o'clock this morning.
All right, Griselda Lewis, thank you very much indeed, my friend. We'll catch up with you a little later on. Griselda Lewis live in Parktown, Johannesburg.